Hello and welcome to the Collective Shift channel. Matt here to share with you the week's worth of news in the macro space and crypto industry. It's been a particularly exciting day in the crypto asset space with the Bitcoin, Ether, and the entire crypto asset market surpassing all-time highs. So looking forward to getting to that with you later in the video. But as always, we'll start with the biggest macroeconomic news from the past week, starting with Australia. And the overall, I suppose, narrative and headline that I want you to pay attention to from the past 7 days has just been the validation that Australia's economy is recovering. Why is it recovering? It's because we've seen the easing of lockdowns in the two most populous states, being New South Wales and Victoria. Both those states account combined for over half of Australia's population. So seeing those states come out of lockdown, you've seen strong sentiment both from business standpoint, like business owners, the business sector, and then also from the consumer's standpoint. So those two both having a rosy outlook about, I guess, the state of the economy. And it's all a very, very exciting heading into the Christmas period and holiday period to see such strong economic activity coming back into the Australian economy. So some data came out today validating this. Had ANZ and Roy Morgan, their weekly consumer confidence index rose by 0.6%, which was the eighth gain in 9 weeks. And also National Australia Bank's business confidence index basically doubled from 11 to 21. And then also some more granular data on just particular sectors of the economy that are benefiting the most, and retail and travel, uh, or domestic travel at least, unsurprisingly, is benefiting there. And in Victoria, leading the way in non-food retailing as well. And just people, yeah, I guess just dining out and going shopping basically, and socializing really, which we haven't really had a chance to do much of here in Australia over the past 18 to 24 months. In the US, definitely the biggest news was a stronger than expected jobs report, which came out later last week. So in October, the US economy added 531,000 jobs, and also importantly, they upwardly revised August and September's payroll numbers by a total of 235,000, which is yeah, quite significant there. So why is it important? Well, it's better than expected, these job figures compared to, I guess, the consensus estimates by, forecasters and policy forecasters really, and market participants and economists. And yeah, it's basically, why is it important? It's just like, I guess, another sign that the US economy is really roaring back to life. And that's important to you because it means that the stock market, it's another reason why the stock market is kind of not really nosediving or plummeting from record highs where it's at now. I dare say if those jobs figures were like very disappointing, I reckon that would have spooked markets and actually like caused a bit of a sell-off. But seeing actually stronger than expected data was just, I guess it didn't provide a reason to spook investors, which I'm always looking for reasons like that when things get to record highs, and the release of this data actually not only cancelled out that chance of something bad happening, but it was actually better than expected, which um, yeah, definitely surprised me, and is another reason, as we can see here, why US stock markets continue to trend at record highs. So the three major indices, the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and Nasdaq, have all hit record highs at some stage over the past 7 days. And that is also, if you would remember, my past few weeks, I've been covering the quarter three or third quarter earnings season has come to an end in the US now. And again, those overwhelmingly, the takeaway from those Q3 earnings was that um, company earnings were better than expected. So again, what many would argue would be way outlandish valuations on these stocks, they were actually kind of legitimized or validated, um, because a lot of the earnings were actually, yeah, a lot better than what the market had been pricing in. So that's why we've seen, again, like stocks just going from strength to strength. Another big reason why stocks have been going up as well is because the Democrats, or the US House of Representatives, finally approved a bill, an infrastructure bill that's over $1 trillion US dollars. So essentially letting, yeah, the US economy um, kickstart massive infrastructure spending on things like roads and even internet infrastructure as well. So we saw infrastructure related stocks such as like manufacturing kind of ones and equipment kind of stocks outperform other kind of sectors of the stock market in the past 7 days on the back of this approval. So yeah, just a huge, absolutely huge bill there approved in US. As many of you would know, this bill infamously had a kind of a provision on cryptocurrency tax reporting that kind of got snuck into the bill at the 11th hour a few months ago now. And yes, just to confirm that provision went through as originally drafted. So there was a big push to amend that provision by the US crypto industry. However, that did fail a couple of months ago. But from what I've read this week, it's not yet over. So whilst the bill does mandate like really stringent reporting requirements on crypto industry participants, like business entities such as node operators or like exchange operators and mining operators, things like that, wallet providers, staking providers. Whilst this bill does mandate that, it's actually up to the IRS, which is the US's like kind of tax department. It's up to them to actually kind of implement this bill. So from what I understand, it's not yet finalized that these requirements will be mandated, but I guess more to see on this particular story. And another big piece of data last week was China posting a record trade surplus in for the month of October. So exports rose 27% for the month, which was yeah, a lot bigger than the consensus kind of expectations of 23%. So 4 percentage points more. Um, and it kind of speaks to, yeah, the strong trade performance is kind of supporting the Chinese economy that has been, kind of going through a bit of a slowdown relative to, their really strong economic growth over the past, couple of decades. We've seen them have issues with power outages, electricity shortages in China. Their real estate market has been, really, again, struggling relative to recent times. And consumer spending has been a bit flaky as well, just due to different sporadic outbreaks of the coronavirus that have been popping up here and there. So yeah, that was yeah, definitely worth noting from the past 7 days. And just to finish off the macro section, the main thing that I'll be looking at over the next few days, there's going to be a big the inflationary data will be released in the US. So as I've been covering in recent months, like inflation just continues to dominate the headlines, and fears of, I guess, inflation that's going to not be transitory. That means basically inflation that's going to be here to stay and actually like going to be hard to get rid of via monetary policy tools. So that some data on that is coming out over the next 48 hours in the US. There's production inflation is coming out tonight, or Australian Eastern Daylight Time. on Tuesday evening. And then 24 hours later, we've got the consumer inflation data coming out. So definitely looking to see that. If it is bigger, stronger, or weaker than expected, definitely expect that to really hit the headlines hard and potentially even affect markets. All right, moving on to the crypto space, and for the past 7 days, had a few big stories. Nothing that was like really by far the standout news item, such as last week when Commonwealth Bank's announcing support for Bitcoin and crypto, buying and selling. That was definitely the standout last week. But this week it was a bit of a different story. We did have some real major headlines such as um, New York mayor, he recently, I think last week, was voted in. Um, Eric Adams, he's a real big Bitcoin advocate and cryptocurrency advocate. So he's kind of just been making headlines, making a few different statements. I think he said that he would be willing, or that he is going to be taking his first three paychecks in Bitcoin. And then I also saw today that they announced some sort of New York City coin, which is tied to the Blockstack protocol, which the Blockstack protocol in and of itself gets its security is tied to the Bitcoin blockchain. So he's definitely making a few moves to kind of get the crypto crowds and community and industry excited. And he also, as the headline says here today, he's really pushing, or he thinks that crypto should be taught in schools as well. So blockchain technology and I guess the whole crypto asset space. Um, so yeah, really refreshing to see. And he's going to be taking office in January 2022 in New York, a city which is kind of infamously has kind of lost a lot of its crypto kind of I think this Eric Adams is wanting to make New York into some sort of crypto hub in the US, but um, for those of you who might remember, over the like several years ago, New York basically um, became a very like unpopular place for the crypto industry after they implemented their bit license requirements. And I remember a bunch of businesses actually like left New York as in their offices. Like they left and they set up offices in other cities. I think Kraken was a big one back then. I can't really. There were several others as well. Um, but yeah, definitely kind of a shift to see. It's nice to see New York kind of getting back into the crypto scene, and I'll get to that a bit later when I get into the NFT side of things. Big news today was BlockFi and Neuberger filing for, or jointly filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF or exchange traded fund. Saw Bitcoin ETFs really making headlines over the past few weeks because, yeah, after 6 or 7 years of Bitcoin ETF applications, the first one finally got approved in the US. That was a Bitcoin ETF that was based off of, or yeah, tied to Bitcoin futures. So what makes this one different about Newberger and BlockFi is that it's actually the application, rather at least, is for a Bitcoin ETF that's tied to Bitcoin spot value, or so or physical Bitcoin as you might see it. So a big criticism of the Bitcoin ETF news of the past few weeks is that because it was based off of Bitcoin derivatives, that there really isn't any direct correlation or direct demand for Bitcoin when people are buying these Bitcoin ETFs, or buying shares in these Bitcoin ETFs rather. Um, so that was a bit of criticism, or like, so if there were to be a Bitcoin spot, I think it would be a lot more bullish for the price of Bitcoin just because of natural demand and supply. But you'd also see a bunch of cost benefits as well in terms of just running the ETF. There's a lot of rolling costs with futures ETFs that you don't really get with spot. So yes, as I've said, there's been dozens and dozens of spot Bitcoin ETF applications in the past 6 or 7 years that have been denied by the SEC or Securities and Exchange Commission. Um, but why am I mentioning this? Well, I'm mentioning it because, well, BlockFi and Newberg are like huge companies. One of them being in the crypto space, that's BlockFi. And it's just kind of the timing of it, I suppose, is what I want to pass on. Like the fact that they're applying for it right now, just as the derivatives ones have been approved, it might suggest that, BlockFi and Newberger's lawyers and analysts basically think this is a really opportune time where they might actually be able to have success in their application. So watch this space for sure. Big news today with Mastercard launching crypto-linked payments cards in the Asia Pacific region. There were 4 entities kind of involved in this announcement, Mastercard being one of them, the others being Amber Group, BitCub, and CoinJar. So yeah, allowing Mastercard holders, whether it's credit card, debit card, or prepaid cards, to instantly be able to convert their cryptocurrencies into traditional fiat currency that can be spent everywhere that Mastercard is accepted around the world. So for those of you who like to spend their cryptocurrency on goods and services, this is definitely really welcome news, and just, I guess, another example of how cryptocurrency can be used in the real world. Okay, moving on to just some venture updates. I wanted to touch on this. I think all members know every Sunday that we have our Sunday Fun Days, um, which you can read there. For anyone listening, um, you can see, for those watching, you can see that I'm scrolling through, I think just last week, from 1st of November to the 7th of November, there must be about 25 or 30 raises that Kinji went through and recorded, which is kind of just symbolic of the space at the moment. I think really earlier, 12 months ago, that would have really only been maybe 10 every week. Um, but I wanted to kind of, just aside from the Sunday Fun Day, I wanted to actually kind of highlight this trend I'm seeing in the past few weeks of a lot more venture capital pouring into blockchain-based gaming and NFTs on non-fungible tokens. Um, as I covered, I think 2 weeks ago, we had Metaverse, or Meta's announcement of Facebook rebranding to Meta, and it was a big, watershed moment for just the overall concept of Metaverse, really, and disseminating it into the public's kind of, psyche or collective understanding. So you saw metaverse related crypto assets just like skyrocket in price. Um, and then you're also now seeing a lot of venture capital coming into blockchain based gaming, which a lot of people it's kind of synonymous with metaverse, at least at this stage. So I wanted to highlight a couple here. There was one earlier, or 4 days ago, Solana Ventures, FTX, and Lightspeed launched a $100 million blockchain gaming fund. And then also there was one by Engine um, that I did see as well. Um, so Engine being another real popular um, Engine being another really popular blockchain kind of gaming related crypto project. They floated a $100 million metaverse fund to boost just kind of NFT development and metaverse development in the Engine ecosystem. And yeah, this was just a continuation of a trend I'm seeing with more metaverse and NFT related venture capital investment. Um, there was one in August. I think August kind of kicked things off with Three Arrows Capital announcing their Starry Night Capital, or Starry Night Fund, which was a fund to just solely invest in NFTs. Um, and then that really kicked things off. And then you've seen, I think, Galaxy Digital, which is Mike Novogratz's crypto venture, or not only crypto, but his venture capital firm, he announced or they announced an NFT fund just 2 days ago, and then there was I think, which is Spermion, which is yeah Andrew Steinwaltz. Many of you would know he's a really, I guess, done a lot of work in the NFT space, education primarily. He announced, or his firm's Fermion, his investment firm, announced the closing of a $100 million venture fund. That was about 8 days ago. And the investors in here were just like the creme de la creme of the crypto investing space, to be honest. And even some that were from a non-crypto native, such as Alan Howard. So just really, really high caliber investors getting involved here. Um, and similarly, I think DCL blogger or Matty, which some of you might know him as, he's based in Melbourne and he's about to announce a venture fund as well, which he says is coming out very soon, announcing it. And that's, involving raising money from really high profile investors as well. So I think there was another one maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, just as a last example, was Meta 4 Capital. So META 4, a number 4 Capital. They raised a bunch of funds from, I think A16Z was the lead investor, which A16Z, of course, being like the one of the giants of the venture capital space. So just the quality of investors getting involved yeah, in the space here is just like remarkable. October 20 was that Metaphor Capital, $100 million to invest in rare NFTs. So yeah, quality of funding coming into the space is remarkable. And why should I be telling you this? Like, why should you be caring about this? It's more validation for the NFT space in particular, and then, tangentially, it's kind of more validation for blockchain-based gaming. So as investors, how can you benefit from this? Well, it's a massive, massive signal that the amount of development that's going to be coming out in the probably more like the medium term, is going to be huge. So why do I say medium term? Well, yes, these raised these funds and stuff, but now they have to deploy that capital to teams, invest in teams and things like that. Then these teams have got to go through and hire a bunch of talent with with this new capital, and then they've got to develop their games, develop their NFT projects, which takes time. So I definitely think it's a really, really strong tailwind that's going to just like really help propel the NFT space in the next, the medium to long term as a result of all these announcements we've seen over the past few weeks. And to be honest, these are only the public announcements. I'm sure behind the scenes there's been heaps of happenings really in terms of just higher net worth individuals and family offices, institutional money starting to figure out ways to get allocation to the NFT space and blockchain based gaming. Speaking of kind of gaming, just segueing here into Discord, which is arguably the biggest kind of gaming, I guess, communications kind of software, and now has kind of found a footing in a lot of spaces like crypto and even education. I know a lot of high schools and universities now use Discord a lot. Um, Huge news today that the Discord CEO confirmed that their development team is working on an Ethereum integration. Um, what do I mean by that? Why is it important? So they're figuring out a way to integrate the Ethereum blockchain. So um, users of apps or wallets, such as MetaMask being by far the most popular Ethereum wallet, and Wallet Connect, it really is just going to let those users be able to, um, like use Discord far more, I guess far more heavily, to be honest. I think right now Discord is really, it's on an island of its own where a lot of activity happens to do with the crypto space, such as like a lot of, like for those of you unaware, a lot of projects run Discord communities where a lot of the, I guess, discussion of the project happens. But right now, there's not really many ways to kind of involve integrations of Web3 or integrations of Ethereum, which really has a lot of drawbacks, particularly to do with governance. So yeah, governance I think is going to be the biggest beneficiary of this Discord integration. Um, so just for example, like there's a huge issue now in Discord is that like a huge issue in the crypto space in general is just the lack of governance participation. So if you're going to have these decentralized protocols that are owned by all the token holders, um, there's a real kind of issue now, which like these token holders, a lot of them aren't really, voting on the future of the protocol. And that's never going to be fully solved, but the tooling for that is like really has been lacking. And I think with this integration, it'll allow for a lot stronger voter participation and governance participation. And again, for you as a listener or for the viewer, this is really, really important because even just from a purely financial perspective, like there's going to be ways where you can like nothing's guaranteed, of course, but like participating in protocol governance and DAOs is like just in my opinion going to yield so many financial benefits down the line through things such as airdrops or through things such as like on-chain reputation, which indirectly um, rewards you later down the track through just things like social connections and things like that and opportunities. So um, yeah, for you as investors, there's a huge benefits to be had with these sorts of announcements that make, I guess, participating in the Web3 economy or Ethereum economy more possible. So this is like some of the most exciting news I've seen in quite a while. I guess to emphasize to you the importance or I guess the significance of this news. Um, yeah, I think it was expected. Like I think many people would have thought this was coming initially. I was surprised with how quickly it came. I thought Discord would get involved in more Web3 or Ethereum, but not this soon. So, uh, yeah, very exciting to see. And this kind of came as a result of this really great write-up, by the way, on just the business of Discord, which I will link in the show notes below. That was by Packy McCormick and also a collaboration with The Generalist. And they did some really good analysis on, I guess, how Discord is currently, um, you know, involved with crypto and how it could potentially be a lot more involved in crypto in the future. To my surprise, crypto really doesn't account for that much of Discord's user base, which kind of surprised. Yeah, it did surprise me. It's about, I don't know, 15th, maybe 16th, 17th, 18th in terms of ranking of just sector of users. So gaming is by far that's what the roots of Discord is in gaming, but crypto is way down there. So Discord is definitely like a dark horse in my opinion to onboard heaps more people into crypto. And yeah, that's going to be another huge benefit of this Web3 Ethereum integration, is because all of these non-crypto servers are now all of a sudden going to have this announcement and have this feature and function that they can actually start to use Ethereum and Web3. And then that might spark their interest of like, oh, what even is this thing? How does it work? And then that will kind of just drive a bunch more adoption for those who are particularly curious. Okay, spoke about New York earlier, and um, in the NFT space, that was definitely where all the action was over the past week, with New York hosting their NFT week, and that was a huge success. And I did see earlier today that they're actually now going to be running another event in June 2022 because it was so successful, and they're going to have more capacity than what they had over the past week, which was still like a major involvement over the past week. So saw NFT signs, NFT ads, or NFT, I guess, displays on billboards in Times Square, and just saw a lot of, I guess, all really cool like speakers and like even like artists and things that weren't really from the crypto industry. They were speaking all these different events that were involved in NFT week. So yeah, that was yeah, really exciting to see. I just wanted to touch on it there because that's where, yeah, really all the action was happening last week. Just one more thing on that, there was announcements from, I think, Pepsi and Budweiser separately both had presentations at NFT Week in New York, and they both announced that they were going to be launching NFT collections soon. So um, that again will just drive heaps more awareness and adoption in the NFT space. Sticking on that note of mainstream coming into the NFT space, Disney announced that they're going to be launching an NFT collection of The Simpsons. So that's going to be done on Vivi, which is a project or NFT platform that is kind of under the umbrella of Ecomi, so ECOMI. Um, as you can see here, got, yeah, an NFT there of Homer, Homer and Bart, Homer choking Bart as he tends to do. And yeah, just again, just seeing, I guess, the caliber and the quality of these names getting involved in the NFT space is just every it never fails to surprise me to think these names are now all of a sudden getting involved in the NFT space. EA, a big gaming company or game publisher, they had their earnings report, and they said they told investors that collectible NFTs are, quote, an important part of the future of our industry, end quote. So those were remarks from the CEO of EA. Um, and yeah, so again, just a bunch of non-crypto native companies realizing the significance of NFTs and the potential of NFTs. Um, and I think we saw, and actually deciding to, get involved in it in some shape or form. Big news today that I really want to touch on was the airdrop of ENS, so Ethereum Name Service. In an effort to decentralize their project, they announced a token, which is the ticker is ENS, and their airdrop happened today, or at least you could start to claim it today. I think it's open for another 6 months, where you can claim it. So that was really dominating, I guess, crypto Twitter today. And there was this really neat dashboard that got created by Hill Dobby there. So I will share that in the show notes below. Well done to any of you who had purchased a .eth domain name in the past few years, and you were all handsomely rewarded today with an airdrop. I think, yeah, I saw several people I know getting, airdrops between 15,000 and 25,000 US dollars, which was just like, again, like I can't stress enough how, life-changing some of these airdrops have been to participants in the crypto space over the past, 12 to 18 months. I think we've seen Uniswap, 1inch, super rare, um, DApp, InstaDApp, Ethereum Name Service now. They've probably been some of the biggest ones. I'm probably forgetting some, but there's going to be so many more as well. And just as a reminder for members in our Facebook community, we do have that airdrop discussion thread where we can speculate on future, probably likely projects that are going to conduct an airdrop. But as a rule, you can generally expect non most projects that don't have a token, you can expect like the majority of them will announce a token at some stage in the future, and they will retroactively airdrop it to their earliest users and their earliest enthusiasts. Why are they all announcing a token? Well, tokens to date have proven the best way to coordinate incentives within a certain ecosystem, and moreover, they're also proven a great way to decentralize ownership of the project. So Ethereum Name Service is a perfect example. In this case, where all the earliest users and I guess participants in the Ethereum Name Service ecosystem are now basically collectively are all the owners of the Ethereum Name Service project, and they can all now decide on how the project expands in the future and how they govern it. They're going to be doing it through essentially through this design of the ENS token, which you've seen repeated time and time again over the past several years. Okay, as I said earlier, we saw record highs this today, to be honest, Australian time on Tuesday. Bitcoin and Ethereum and the entire crypto asset market reached all-time highs. Particularly, I wanted to touch on the markets overall surpassed $3 trillion US in total market cap. So market cap, for those of you unaware, is just you know the floating supply of or circulating supply of a given token. Um, so for Bitcoin, it's in between, I think it's 18 and 19 million. You times that by the price, and that gives you market cap. It's an imperfect measure. It's kind of taken from the world of stocks, but um, despite being imperfect, it's kind of the one that everyone focuses on in the crypto space. So the combined market cap of every single 10,000 plus crypto assets surpassed 3 trillion for the first time ever, and at the time of recording it's at 3.1 trillion. So I think, to be honest, we're just getting started, or not just getting started, we have gotten started the past few months, but I think there's still quite a bit to go in terms of going higher in price, and that will be reflected in a higher market cap for the entire all crypto assets. Looking here at Bitcoin, as I just said, it did surpass just a few hours ago 68,000 for the first time ever, 68,000 US dollars, and on the daily chart, all healthily above those three major moving averages, the 200, 100, and 50-day moving averages. And the RSI, or Relative Strength Index, is not yet into overbought territory. So that's worth noting. Probably on the lower time frames, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. On the hourly time frame, okay, it did get to 80 earlier today and is now back under 70. So over 80 is generally thought of as overbought territory. So yeah, still not going too crazy at the moment after we did see that pretty healthy retrace and 2-3 week period of consolidation, where probably many would have called for Bitcoin, expect it to drop heaps higher, but then when we saw that it didn't, that was a really kind of bullish sign for myself and many others in the space to kind of like expect it to go another leg higher, which we did see in the past few days. And Ethereum, or ETH, the token native to the Ethereum blockchain, also surpassed 4,800 for the first time ever. And now it's really got that 5,000 in its sights, which would be quite something given all of Ethereum, as I've been covering in the past months, really has been having so many issues with gas prices, but all the while, it's also a sign that heaps of people want to use Ethereum, and that there's so many exciting projects and apps being built that people want to use, that they're willing to pay these extremely high gas fees. I definitely don't think that's sustainable, as I've covered in past videos, there's a lot of solutions in the pipeline that will hopefully alleviate that issue. But to see it still going to all-time highs despite all those issues is quite quite reflective of, I guess, the passion and the potential um, that the Ethereum, I guess, blockchain kind of has. As I did cover, I think in the past few videos, I still do expect um, Ethereum competitors to outperform ETH in the short term. I just don't see gas prices going down anytime soon, really, over the next 4 to 6 months. Um, Especially because I also think the market is misunderstanding what the merge actually means. So the merge is the next major milestone in ETH2. That's basically going to be when Ethereum moves from proof of work to proof of stake. Don't really want to get into the details in this video because it's just a weekly recap, but I just wanted to, in my market commentary, I just want to kind of emphasize that I think the market is misinterpreting what the merge means. It's actually not going to affect gas prices at all. That's going to come later after the merge, so that's going to come with sharding chains and the implementation of sharding on the ETH2. Oh well, it's not called ETH2 anymore, but this new proof of stake blockchain, it's going to have a bunch of sharding techniques implemented into it, but that's not coming until like later in 2022 and even then into 2023. It's going to be a continuous kind of process. Um, so that's another reason why I'm more bullish on the likes of Solana, Avalanche, Terra, Near Protocol, and then even like Secret Network, Harmony to a lesser extent. All those types like Polkadot, Kusama, I'm more bullish on them in the short term just because this gas issue is not going to go down anytime soon. The only hope is going to be that all these scaling solutions like really, really do wonders for easing um, gas pressures or gas prices on the base Ethereum chain. So we do have a lot of hope coming in the next 6 to 8 weeks with optimism having a major upgrade. Arbitrum releasing their Nitro upgrade. ZK Sync is coming out. Immutable X, I think, is finalizing their launch in December. Starknet is coming out. I think Boba Network is another one. Loopring's L2 solution continues to be rolled out. So there's hope that if all of these can kind of take the pressure off Ethereum, then I'd be more bullish on ETH relative to these competitors. Um, but yeah, medium to long term, I'm still a lot more bullish on ETH. And that's not to say that ETH can't go up to seven, 8,000 in this next run up. I definitely think that's still possible. But I guess it's also important sometimes to think of um, how you're investing in crypto assets relative to other crypto assets. So to put that another way, I still think the US denominated value of all the crypto assets will continue to go up for the rest of the year and into the start of 2022. But I think relatively, there's going to be some that definitely outperform others, as you would expect to see in any market, not just crypto assets. Um, but yeah, what am I looking forward to over the next week? I think the Solana's breakout conference is one that I definitely look forward to tuning into. I think it started yesterday. I really want to see, what comes out of that conference and what else gets announced. I think there was a big announcement with Brave browser and Solana like yesterday. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I'll be focusing on for the next week or so. But yeah, otherwise, I'll be on the member platform and in the Facebook community, continuing to deliver value and talk to members, as will the rest of the team. So until then, I will Thank you for tuning in to this week's market update, and hope you are all enjoying the record highs.